Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of SportsView on theirmedia.tv. And don't forget to press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel. Good evening, Joe Waters, and welcome.
Good evening, Pat. Great to be here.
Yeah, and God, the weeks are flying by. We'll be putting on our red and white hats soon, I think, will we?
Yeah.
Anyway, Derwin is working tonight, or so he says, but we'll take his word for it, Joe, will we?
We will, yeah. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he ever works.
Anyway, we have a lot to cover tonight. We have soccer, obviously. We normally do golf, tennis, Formula One, the Cricket World Cup, and etc. like that. But I mean, over the weekend, there was wins for Manchester United, Cash City, as one of my friends call him, but we call him Man City. Brentford, Crystal Palace, and Sheffield United and Newcastle. But I have to start off, Joe, on a selfish note. What about my team? Didn't they do very well? Luton Town.
They did, actually. And it's funny. It's kind of one of those games that they played very well. They got a great result, and the interviews with their players afterwards were that they were so disappointed in giving up the goal at the end. And if you kind of put the shoe on the other foot, if Luton had been a goal down and they had scored in the last few seconds of the game, it would have felt like a win. When on the way it happened, it felt to them like it was a loss, that they dropped 2 points. But they kind of should be looking at it. Anytime they get points off of a top 4, top 6 caliber team, that's a huge result for them.
It is, Joe, and not to read too much into it, but I think they were competitive in what I saw. I saw the whole game. They were very competitive. They seem to be finding their feet. I hope it's not a false start, but I think they're finding their feet as a Premiership team and what is required of them to concentrate until the final whistle is gone as well. Now, obviously, their next trip is to Old Trafford next weekend.
Right. Well, what people don't understand is a newly promoted team, unless you're a very, very special group of players and you're very fortunate to have put this together, for you to move up a division, and a division that is the Premier League, and to find your feet straight away is very, very difficult.
It is.
We're talking about teams that have experience in this division. We have teams that are in this division that know what it is like to be fighting for their lives every year. So they're well and truly, prepared for this. Whereas the new teams coming in do not know what it is. You're playing against better players that you have not played against before. You're playing against better organized teams. And just the quality, the sheer quality is better. And it does take you time to figure it out. And it's about 15 or 16 games into it that you have to figure it out. And by the way, the news today is Spurs are 1-0 up against Chelsea.
Already?
Already.
Oh my God, we're on the air here on Monday, the 6th of November at 8:08 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And we're broadcasting on every Monday night. And that's good news for Pochettino.
Yes, yeah, it's piling on for him right now. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, he has a poison chalice with Chelsea. It's a poison.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And to be honest about the whole thing, is that it's as bad for Pochettino as it is for Ten Hag. They were given they're given two jobs that are teams that are perennially winners of trophies, and all of a sudden some poor decisions have been made by the higher ups, whatever they are, whether it's the refusal of the Glazers to sell or what have you, whether it's poor, like in Chelsea, time will tell whether it's just poor investment in players or what have you over the past year. But it doesn't take much to derail it. Once Abramovich went out the door, all of a sudden Chelsea started falling apart.
They
And the same thing, with United. Once Sir Alex went, the things started deteriorating. Of course, his main man Gill went at the same time,
He
so
did.
that was a huge loss to them. But it doesn't take much to derail the whole process. And ask Liverpool about that. How long did it take them to get back and win a Premier League title? It took them 19 or 20 years nearly to
And
do
we've spoken about Man United a lot, but and Alex Ferguson wasn't just the manager. People forget that. It's not just a question of Pat going in instead of Joe. He had the authority of the club, of the board. He had the full authority and to carry out what he felt was right for the club and the team. And so Ten Hag does not have that stature in the club.
Well,
No,
they have no one. They have no one to back him up with any credibility. David
no.
Gill was a guy that was a soccer guy. I mean, he's on UEFA committees now, so he's still involved. He's a little bit like Steen at Arsenal when he was there, or David Dean, sorry, when he was there. He was a soccer guy that knew what was going on, and he knew how to give Arsene Wenger his head. The problem with Arsenal is that they went to a new stadium. So all the investment in the team that they would have normally had went into the stadium. And they were content to be in the Champions League, to have that income coming in to keep them going. They knew they weren't going to be able to spend to make to win the Premier League again. They had to buy their time with that. And of course, people got fed up with that, and they blamed Arsene Wenger, who was the greatest manager that they've ever had.
Well, certainly in my lifetime, anyway, certainly in recent times there hasn't.
Well, I mean, he's the only one that's won the double there.
That's true.
True. He got into European Cup final. Unfortunately, they lost to Barcelona in that one. But I mean, he won. I don't know, but I mean, he and Sir Alex Ferguson were trading Premier Leagues and FA Cups there for a number of years. So
he attracted some fantastic players to the club as well, Wenger.
Oh, yes, he did. Yes,
I mean, to me, one of the greatest Premiership players in recent times was Dennis Bergkamp.
Well, but who signed Dennis Bergkamp? Bruce Rioch.
Oh, right. Yes.
Bruce Rioch brought him in before, while he and Stuart Houston were the manager and first-team coach at the Arsenal. And of course, then Arsene Wenger comes in with the knowledge of all the French players, all the young French players. He brought in Nicolas Anelka and then sold him, and they built a whole new training complex off the money that they got for Anelka. So they modernized the club in that area, and then they started buying the likes of Robert Perez and Thierry Henry and Emmanuel Petit and Patrick Vieira and then Kolo Touré and all those guys, But it was a back four that with David Seaman in goal, with the fullbacks that they had, Tony Adams at the start, Tony Adams and what was his name that was the coach there for a good while. It'll come to me in a minute. But, it was the back four that George Graham had built.
Yes, George Graham.
While he was the manager there. Yeah. So it was, that they were, and then what's his name? Wenger started adding the quality French players to the whole thing. And then, of course, it all took off and it all started working great. I mean, he got Mark Overmars from Holland. And then he got the other Dutch guy that he had up front. God, I was just looking at it.
Emmanuel Petit was playing as well with him, wasn't he?
Emmanuel Petit was there as well, yeah.
And Perez.
Ray Parlour was there already, great player.
I thought they were a fantastic team to watch playing soccer.
Oh, they played great football.
Oh, it was absolutely dynamic and fantastic.
I mean, I'm not an Arsenal fan, I was an Arsenal fan when Liam and Dave O'Leary and Frank and Pat
Oh yeah,
Rice and
yeah,
all the
yeah.
lads were playing there at that time. But I was never an Arsenal fan before that. I mean, I've always been a United guy, but I just loved the way they knocked the ball around. The way
Oh,
they
they
played.
were just superb.
And then they were just superb. They could keep the ball and then they could attack and pick you apart with pace and penetration in a split second. It was great stuff to watch.
Absolutely. And as you know, Newcastle beat Arsenal over the weekend 1-0,
Yeah,
and VAR came into sharp focus again because it was VAR gave them the goal. What do you think of that? What did you think of the goal, Joe? It's easy to say it now, but
yeah. It's one of those things that you look at it. Never, let's be honest, never before has any of us ever seen the three parts to the VAR decision that had to be made, the three individual decisions that had to be made within it. You know, the ball out of play, the pushing the back, whether it was or not, and then the offside. You know, so the first one I'll address is that the ball out of play. Every one of us, since we've been kids, have been taught
yeah,
play to the whistle, play to the whistle. So when that ball went out of play, the only person that made any goal for it was the Newcastle United player. Now, the angle that they're looking at it from, and the commentator quite rightly pointed out at the time, do not take any notice of this angle because we're looking at it from behind it. And the ball can look out of play, but the ball is round and the line is straight. So that there is a very, very strong possibility that a piece of that ball is not out of play. And the only way you can see that is if you're looking along the line from the goalpost to the corner flag,
yes.
or you're looking down from above.
Looking down at it, yeah, yeah,
Right. So that's the only way you know. So there is no way that VAR could come to a conclusion that it was a clear and obvious error that the referee didn't give it out of play. Right. So then the next part of it becomes the push in the back. Right. Well, there's two sides to the push in the back as well. Right. And I'm well aware of it. I played both offensively and defensively.
yeah.
And I always knew that if there was a ball that went over my head and I knew that there was a forward behind me, that I would try and make contact with that forward and then I would fall down and look for the foul.
Yes.
Right?
There's a,
Because
yeah,
there's a chance that they could be getting above me and getting
yeah.
a strike on goal.
In
Now,
behind you, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Now, as a forward player, as an offensive player, I'm looking at this from the other standpoint, in that if I think the defender is going to get to it just before me, I'm going to take a chance. Because in the box, you can take a chance and let the referee make the decision.
Yes.
Right? So you tend to make a little bit of contact, you push him in the back, or you lean into him, or whatever it is. So the combination of one looking for the contact and the other having to make the contact to see if he can score is, so it can go either way. So again, the referee doesn't know which way that is going, and VAR certainly doesn't. So they said that was inconclusive. And then the offside part of it, that in itself, it looked to me as I watched it, and I've watched it a dozen times now, and I've seen it in different on different channels. So they
Yeah.
had cameras in different angles.
Yeah.
And it looked to me like it came off the Arsenal player's foot last. That's what it looked like to me from what I saw.
Which
So,
meant that the offside was obsolete, really.
right.
Yeah.
But
So
here's the big problem in all of this. Everybody is concentrating and blaming VAR, and nobody is looking at the culpability of the Arsenal players in this whole scenario, right?
Yeah.
The players that kept playing were the Newcastle players, right? Case in point, the guy that runs the corner flag to rescue the ball and keep it in play and gets the
Yeah.
opportunity to do. He
Yes.
then advances from the corner flag all the way to the edge of the 18-yard box,
Yes.
right? Without an Arsenal player going anywhere near him to put pressure on the ball, right? And if you look at the picture of it, there were, including the goalkeeper, there were 8 Arsenal players in the box, and there were 4 Newcastle players. The one that crossed the ball, Anthony Gordon, who scored,
Yeah.
Joe Linton, who had to push him back, and then I think they had another midfield player. I wasn't able to recognize him, just at the top of the box or just inside the box.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Arsenal had 7 outfield players and a goalkeeper, right?
Right.
So the
So that,
ball comes into the box. Then the Arsenal goalkeeper is on the near post, which he shouldn't be on the near post because the guy is not shooting. The only thing the Arsenal defenders did was they took away the near post shot because that's where they were positioned, right? So he couldn't hurt him at the near post. So David Raya makes a huge mistake in that he gets too close to the near post. Ball gets chipped in, and he comes out flailing at it. And all that had to happen was he to get a finger to that ball, and that there is no danger anyway. Right?
and
But he doesn't do his job. By the way, that's his third mistake in about 4 or 5 games. He made a mistake against Chelsea where he flapped at a ball again that went in the back
yes.
of the net. He made the mistake at in the European in the Champions League in Spain where he gave the ball away.
Yeah.
And now he has this ricket, yes, on the weekend that he doesn't do it. And if he does his job, or any one of those guys, if the fullback or the centre back steps out to meet the cross, he blocks the cross. If Ray does his job, then there's no danger anywhere, and they probably get a free kick for the push in the back. So at that point, but they didn't do their job. So there's no one pointing that out that Arsenal could have stopped this at any point. You know, so it's not VAR's fault. It's not the referee's fault that this happened. It was just a sequence of events that they were not able to completely say that it was a clear and obvious error.
So at the end of the day, you agree that it was a good goal.
I mean, well, let me put it this way: if it happened to my team, I'd be furious. Because you would be, but when you're on the other end of it, you're as happy as you know what, you know.
Yeah.
So there's 2 sides to every story. If I'm on the offensive side of it, I'm making out like Flynn, and if I'm on the defensive side of it, I'm moaning like you wouldn't believe. So it's just one of those things that is part of the game. It's like the penalty in the Wolves versus
Joe,
Sheffield United.
of course, it's easy for us to talk. We're not losing any money or anything
Right.
like that. But and if you're managing a team, a high caliber team like Arsenal, really, I think Mikel Arteta left himself and the club down very badly. He gave way too many interviews to too many people.
Yeah,
And
it did. I mean, let's be honest.
Way too many.
I mean, it's not much different than what Klopp did in the Spurs match.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing. So I mean, when the thing is, once the final whistle is gone, shut your mouth and reevaluate what happened, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a picture, we all have a picture in our mind of things that happen, and it's sometimes when you look at the film back, it's not the same. It's not what you thought you saw. So.
No.
What you tend to do is you tend to go, okay, I look at the game film and we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Look,
if he's been honest when he goes in the dressing room, he's going to say to his players, hey guys, we stopped playing there.
Exactly. And if we had him on the show tonight, Mikel Arteta, it would be a totally different interview, I dare say, because uh, interviewing managers and players after a match, your adrenaline is flying, you're on a rush, you're on a high. Forget about it, forget about it. But anyway, the way I look at it is, I think that, Newcastle are a good team. Arsenal are a good team. They're still in the running for the Premiership. And
Well, yes, they are. They are. But the thing is, there were a lot of things that went on in that game that um, you could look at and you could go, hang on a minute, what happened here? Kai Havertz with that tackle.
yeah,
I'm sorry, for me, that's a red card all day long.
yeah,
Someone said, well, he went in with his studs high up at the beginning, and that could have caused a serious injury, but he didn't make any contact. Well, his trailing leg made contact with the guy's ankle. So you break a guy's shin, and it's a big deal, but you break his ankle with your trailing foot, and you're out of control, and that doesn't mean anything.
yeah. That's
It's as bad to break your ankle as it is your shin.
that's a fair point, and I don't know what to say about this, but really, I think that on balance, I think now in the other match I saw Manchester United and who are they playing again?
Fulham.
Fulham, beg your pardon, Craven Cottage. Now they ruled out the goal that Harry Maguire was offside because they said he made an attempt to play the ball. Maguire.
Well, what he did was, by his attempt to play the ball, he denied the defender behind him the opportunity to clear it. So he's obviously interfering with play at that point.
But Joe, if you watch the whole sequence, Harry Maguire was pushed right down in the penalty box. What about the offside bit? He was fouled in the penalty box.
But the offside bit came in the
aftermath. Sure.
No. The offside came as the kick was being taken.
The cross was coming.
Yeah. Bruno Fernandes is on the ball. The United players are trying to steal a march, which offensive players always are. They're trying to cheat a little and maybe get away with it. Again, like I talked about with the hands in the back bit. And they're trying to get just a little bit of the leg up and hope they don't get caught. Well, what happened there was that Harry Maguire got caught in the initial. If you look at the line, it looks like he was ahead of the Fulham players, just like there was a part of his body ahead of it. And then the continuation of the play, because he was offside in the first part of it, the continuation of the play is that he interfered with the defender clearing the ball, because once you're offside, you cannot get involved in the play again on somebody else.
But what I find annoying is the goal was scored, the celebrations were celebrated. They took the ball out to the centre circle, which signaled to everybody in the ground that it was a goal, and they kicked off. And then VAR check came up. That's way too long for me. Way too long.
But I don't disagree with you on that. And I think the problem here is we're going to be stuck with this forever and a day, because it's going to slow the game down.
But they're managing. We said it before here. They're managing to play decent, good soccer in the Championship, in Division 1 and Division 2 in Britain with no VAR.
And I watched Championship games over the weekend, and again, to me, once you start taking the decisions away from the officials that are in charge on game day on the field, now you are ruining the spectacle of the game, and you're taking the power away from the officials on the field, really, because you're now giving it to VAR. You're giving it to the people in the booth. It used to be the way it always worked, right? From for whenever I played, looks like it's 1-1 now. So whenever I played, if the assistant referee, the linesman in those days we call them the old-fashioned way, saw something, then he would bring the referee's attention to it.
Yes.
Right now, the foul that happened with Kai Havertz was right in front of the assistant.
Joe, sorry for calling you Cashew. VAR denies Chelsea Sterling equaliser for Spurs.
That VAR is a great thing, isn't it?
I'll tell you now. Well, it was still 1-0 to Tottenham after almost half an hour. And
it's interesting. But yeah, so, you know, and
there
then
was we're just reading a live feed here while we're on here. There was an incident in the build-up to that goal where Sergio Romero catches Levi Colwill on the leg. Nothing comes of it, however, but Tottenham have been a bit fortunate with 2 incidents now, you know. Anyway,
well, there you go.
Sterling scored the goal, which was ruled out by VAR, our friend VAR.
Well, he looks like offside, so.
Well, there you go.
There you go. He's fortunate.
And over the weekend, I see Wrexham beat Mansfield Town in the Cup at Mansfield. And there was a kerfuffle with James McLean and some fella mouthing off afterwards. I think, well, it didn't come to anything because they were kept apart, as I said, until they went down the tunnel, until the players went down the tunnel, you know. But it's not nice to see anytime, you know. Leicester City are still top of the championship, but they have 39 points after 15 games. Ipswich Town have 35 points after 14 games. And Leeds United have 28 points after 15 games. Now, 28, and then all the way down, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. So there's a huge pile-up of clubs there hovering from 4th on in championship. It's a very exciting championship. I watched the highlights programs, you know.
I saw the Leicester Leeds game. That was I've watched Leeds now 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
They look a very good team. They're certainly on the balance of play in the game at the King Power. They deserve to win. Leicester had one in the last minute where I forget who it was, had a header that the goalkeeper made a great save on it. So it was.
Talking about goalkeepers, Joe, I thought the Luton Town goalkeeper had a great game.
Yeah, he played very well. He did.
I thought he was very, very steady. And that, of course, that gives confidence to the back four, as you know yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it relaxes you more as well as a back into the game where you know you can rely on the man behind you if you're beaten or whatever, you know. So it gives you confidence to play a little step up like that. But Bayern Munich beat Dortmund at Dortmund over the weekend 4-0, and Harry Kane got a hat-trick.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So he's doing well there. Man City are top of the league with 27 points. Well, Spurs are playing as we're on air. So if they win tonight, Spurs, they'll go above Man City. They're in second place on 26 points. And the Liverpool are third on 24. Arsenal are fourth on 24. Aston Villa are fifth on 22. And Newcastle are sixth on 20 points. And Man United are on 18 points. So there you go. That's the Premiership. Early days, very early days. You know, we're after 11 or 12 games.
But you know, you talk about it. You talk about it. Who's on 24 points?
Arsenal and Villa are 22. Arsenal and Liverpool are on 24 and Villa on 22.
Right. And United are on 18 points. So they're 2 wins away from catching Liverpool.
I mean, even though my own team are traveling to Old Trafford next weekend, that's Luton Town. But we'd have to give United 3 points there. You have to be realistic as well, you know. And
I wouldn't in this league. I wouldn't be giving anybody 3 points because this whole weekend of games has just shown you what
Yes.
makes the Premier League so special in all its manifestations and what have you.
Now,
So,
yeah. Sports
yeah.
News program here every Monday on learnmedia.tv with myself and Joe Waters tonight. And
And Spurs just gone down to 10 men.
yeah, your man was saying it there on the feed from Talksport that
Yeah.
one of their players was very lucky in the last tackle not to be sent off. So
He's
I wonder.
gone.
Well,
Our friends in VAR have sorted it out, so he's gone.
oh, that's what they were complaining about. So
Yeah.
the VAR ruled out a goal and ruled out a man now. Well. Anyway, we'll just touch briefly on golf over the weekend, Joe. Our own Pádraig Harrington on the Seniors Tour won the Timber Tech golf competition, and he won $350,000. A nice 3 days for him, with
That's
rounds of 67, 66, and 64. He beat Bernard Langer, who was runner-up. So they're around a long time, the two of them now,
Oh yes, they are. And
You
Bernard
know?
Langer has been having. I mean, he's had a
Oh,
whole great second career in
oh,
the
unbelievable.
Sixers.
Unbelievable, like. And Harrington, I must say, he won it by 7 or 8 shots. He ran away with it, to say the least.
Well, wasn't he going on the last round? Wasn't he going for the record as well?
He was, yeah. He shot a 64, but on the US PGA Tour, Van Ryn from South Africa won the one there in the Worldwide Tech Group, and he won $1.47 million. I mean, if Dermot was here, now Dermot would be our golf expert. He had round to
Yeah.
68, 64, 66, and 63. They're ridiculous. I meant next week now we'll ask Derwin, because something that struck me over the weekend, even in the Toto Japan Classic, the ladies, Moon Inami from Japan won at 22 under at 64, 68, 65, 69. These are outrageous, incredible scores. Is technology after catching up on the golf courses and the way they're laid out, and really,
to be honest, in my opinion, I mean, technology is a big part of it. I mean, obviously, they're able with the advances in it, and the club heads and the ball and what have you, and of course they're also bodybuilding now to help themselves also. But I mean, if you were to see a course over here compared to courses in Ireland and England, and ones that I've been around in that, these are like lawns over here.
Yeah.
I mean, the rough is practically nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's when you're on the tee box out at the Hinch, or your Ballybunion, or you're out at Shannon, and there's that walkway that just goes down the middle, and there's like 3-foot high grass on either side of it.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't have any of that over here.
They're like pure carpets.
Oh, it's like you're on the tee, right? And it drops down whatever distance it drops down, and then you're practically you're onto level grass again.
Carpet.
Now there are some out of bounds and a little bit, and there will be trees, especially in the northwest where we are.
And water.
But in water, there are hazards like that. But in the great scheme of things, these courses are like Derwin says, I mean, they're like pitch and putt for these guys.
Absolutely.
To have a bad lie would be very, very unlucky in some of these. Yeah.
What's his name? Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods are starting a new league in January. A new video league. I was reading. Were you reading about that at all?
No, I haven't seen anything about that.
They're making up teams like they have in live golf teams to play a new league on a Monday night, but it's interactive. It's on a screen or something. It's a video. I mean, I never heard of anything like it in my life, but he was hoping to announce a list of well-known golfers to join the league. I know that John Ram was the lead. John Ram today is not had told him he's not participating in it. I think it's a bit of a silly, fanciful thing. I don't know what it is about. I couldn't make head nor tail of it. Our viewers sorry to our viewers. I couldn't make head nor tail of it. If any of our viewers can give us a text later on and give us an answer by next Monday, what is the purpose and the point of it? We'd be delighted to hear from anybody who can enlighten us on this fanciful thing. Over the weekend as well, Joe, Novak Djokovic won his 40th Masters title in the ATP Tour. Now, for people who are not tennis fans, you have the 4 Grand Slams every year in tennis, but right below that there's a tier called Masters tournaments. There are 1,000 tournaments, and then there's 500 and 250. But he's won 40 of those in his career so far, and this was his 7th time winning the one in Paris. He beat a young man from Bulgaria, Dimitrov, in two straight sets. That was Novak Djokovic, and he had a few very dodgy games during the week. I saw most of these games, but I missed the final because I was somewhere else, and really, there's no end to the man. Astonishing man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's an amazing athlete. I mean, to be fair,
Oh, yes.
To do what he's done, and to, especially around, when you had
Nadal
the other
and
that were
Federer,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's amazing what he's been able to do throughout his career with
There's a great
that.
picture, lads, if you want to have a laugh, in Twitter, or X is called now, with a picture of Nadal and Federer bawling, crying. It's just a picture of Novak Djokovic above them holding a trophy. I think there's some very good comedians out there. Whoever put that up, I forgot. But he's on out to the final. There's the final of the ATP Tour, the men's tour. The final, the tour finals is on, with millions and millions of pounds at stake, and he's won that 6 or 7 times as well. But that's on in Turin this year. It was held in London a few years running, but it's on in Turin this year. And in Formula One, Joe, our friend Max Verstappen won the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos, a very famous race one time. But Lando Norris was runner-up, and I must say, I saw the highlights. I watched the highlights this morning of the race. Alonso was the driver of the race. He finished in third, but it's just incredible what the man, he's a veteran now, of course. Fernando Alonso, he's a veteran of Formula One. But anyway, and Perez, the Verstappen's mate, was fourth. But really, that's done injustice for a long time. I don't know, did you catch up any of the cricket? The Cricket World Cup is hotting up.
Yeah,
and I like watching that. Well, South Africa, from what I can read, India and South Africa are into the last 4, really, So there's only 2 spots up, but most teams, apart from England, are in contention. England had a very, very disappointing World Cup, very disappointing World Cup.
Yeah.
And they're bottom of the table. But so far, the team of the tournament is Afghanistan.
Right.
Without a doubt. And, I don't know what the upsurge in their fortunes are, but Ireland were beating Afghanistan a couple of years ago in the league, to qualify for the World Cup, but they would be beating them now, but it's incredible. But for people who are interested in cricket, it's very exciting, and it's full-blooded every game, because there's also qualifiers for a tournament next year, and it's not just the World Cup, it's your placings in the final group that determines whether you qualify for the next one or not. So there's a hidden mysteries within the thing. I don't understand the whole game myself, but I like watching it. So if you have a moment to spare, you have the cricket to fall back in, which is very good. Now, Joe, we have European Cup games tomorrow night, and it looks like Haaland is out for City. Not that it matters so much, I don't think, anyway, in their group, I think that
they looked really good over the weekend.
Yeah, and I forgot to talk about them, but we forgot to mention them. But we nearly take them for granted now, in a sense.
But the thing is that that's the danger of it, because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about when Arsenal beat them, and You know, they weren't then. All of a sudden, I mean, on Saturday, they were absolutely
Brilliant.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really were. And Doku, I mean, what a player this boy is. I mean, he was involved. He scored 2 goals, and I think he had 2 assists in the 6 goals. And I mean, he literally danced around the Bournemouth players. He just had a terrific game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, and then of course Holland has to go off, and they bring on what's his name? The English forward player. I can't give his name right now.
Foden.
Yeah, Phil Foden.
Yeah.
I had a picture of it. I could picture his face. I couldn't.
Yeah.
So you know, you come in with him, you know, and then they had.
When you consider, Joe, that he's a sub in Man City and he'd be playing first team with any other club.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the beauty, I think, about Guardiola, I must say, I mean, even it must be stated how to keep players like Foden and them, how to keep them all happy in the club when there's only room for 10 outfield players on your every team sheet, and to keep players like that on the bench and happy is a skill in itself.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's a skill and it's a challenge for every league manager. I mean, I'm reading, you know, things about different people and what have you. But, you know, for Guardiola, the icing for him is that, you know, you're going to win trophies. So if you stay here and bide your time, we'll get you into these games. You'll win FA Cups, you'll win League Cups, you'll win Champions Leagues, you'll win the Premier League, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's the other guys that you're looking at, you know, players that are at other clubs that are kind of filling out the squad, and to keep them happy, you know, every week, and keep them coming back and being ready when they come in, because they have to live the same lifestyle as the starting players, the ones that are picked all the time.
That's true.
You know, they have to do the same training. They have to do the same. They have to have the same diet. They have to have the same regimens. All those things. No, they're getting very well paid for it, but you still want to be playing, you know, every week. That's what players are about. They want to be playing, and you know, to keep them happy is a huge challenge. I mean, Pep has that, and of course he has the discipline side of it as well, as where he turns around and says, well, you know, if you don't like it, you can go. We'll get somebody else in to replace you. And they already have players that they know they want. So it's they're able to do that as well. But the thing that's blown me away here is that we now have this situation where we're talking about, our people are talking about it being madness, the amount of games and what have you, and all this that players have to play, right? And Vincent Kompany is the latest one to come out. Well, we should put a limit of 60 games on that a player can play, right? Well, you know what? Doesn't every Premiership team have an academy? Doesn't every club, professional club around in England have reserve teams?
Under 20s?
Under 20s, under 23s, whatever you've got. And isn't that the whole reason that you have them, that you're developing to play them in the first team?
Yeah.
So now you're going to now turn around and say, so we're going from what Ranieri started at Chelsea, where you have 2 players for every position. So you have 22 players in your squad. Now we have 23. So now they're looking to make it up to 25, 26, 27 or more. Why don't you bring the young guys in and give them a chance?
Exactly. I mean, really, they've been talking about this farce for a while now. I don't think it'll happen anyway.
Yeah, but no one wants to take a pay cut. No one's willing to. The clubs are not willing to give up games because that's a money earner for them.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't want to lose any of those exhibition games.
As we said before, Joe, it's a business. It's a business as well as football.
It's a huge business.
Yeah.
It's a huge business. And, the players in this day and age are the ones that are benefiting from it the most, because
And yeah,
none of them will
people,
have to have a job anymore.
and people like Vincent Company should be better served by, look, a professional soccer player is his career is only as good as the next game.
Yeah.
His career could be over next weekend.
Yes, it could.
So, I mean, you have to be realistic about these things. Young Palmer has equalised for Chelsea against Spurs, so it's coming up to half time. Spurs
Yeah.
won, Chelsea won, and there's no VAR check as far as I know on that one.
No, it was a penalty. They got a penalty for the red card. So,
Oh, well,
but
there you
yeah,
go.
so it just blows me away that they're talking about, well, we need less games or we need more players and what have you. You've already got a club full of players.
Yeah.
I mean, a club like Chelsea had a whole other squad out on loan to other clubs. Right? So don't tell me you don't have those players that you can call back from loan and get them back into your
On the top 4 or 5 or 6 Premiership clubs have loads and loads and loads of players out on loan. We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
We know that, And there was anyway, my hero on you is probably Roy Hodgson. He did the business over the weekend. Crystal Palace 2-0 away against Burnley. Good old Roy. It was great to see him, and they have a genuine connection with him, the players.
Yes, they do.
I was watching when the match finished, the scene, and all the players were around him like they were his family.
Yes.
And I think
what I didn't know, and Roy didn't have an extensive playing career as such, but he was on the books of Palace when he was a young fella.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I learned that during the week. So
Yeah.
he's a London boy. He has a great connection with Palace, because he was a Palace fan as a kid as well.
Yes.
And then he played for him for a while, and then he became manager. He's been manager there a couple of times. But it's great. I mean, Roy Hodgson is one of the most down-to-earth guys that you could possibly meet. When he was the England manager, he used to travel to Lancaster Gate on the tube every morning. And he would talk to people. People would come up to him and start a conversation. He'd say, yeah, let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Real down-to-earth guy. And that's why, I love him. I love how successful he's been. He's just been a terrific coach all through this. And it like I've said to you before, it just really irritates me how the British press go after some of these players. I've like Roy Hodgson when he was England manager, and Roy has a little bit of a speech impediment sometimes, and they went after that. And Graham Taylor, they went after him. And then Steve McLaren, the Wally with the brolly. What kind of people are you writing this garbage?
Yeah.
You don't deserve to be anywhere near this sport.
No, because Roy Hodgson, to me, I mean, Crystal Palace are in 10th place.
Yeah.
They have 15 points, which means they're what? 8 points off the top 4. But I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, they're doing very well,
They're doing great. I mean, he took them over when they were in relegation trouble, right?
Yeah.
And everyone says to him, well, he plays very pragmatic soccer and this, that, and the other. Well, what does he do? The first thing he does is he brings the French boys back, the creative guys that couldn't get in when Patrick Vieira was there. Yeah. And all of a sudden, these boys start to tear up the place. And they scoot away from the relegation zone.
Yeah.
So when they talk about him playing pragmatic soccer, and all of a sudden he's picking these amazing attacking players and dynamic players, it just doesn't hold true,
No. He's picking a decent team, and he has the skill set himself, Roy. He's seen so much, as you said, Joe. He's been around so much and seen so much. I mean, really, I think he should get manager of the season, and they're only 11 games in. He should get Premiership Manager of the Year, in my opinion. That's Roy. We wish you good health and your team as well,
Yes, indeed.
might be another team to follow as well, Joe. But we look forward anyway to the European sojourn during the week, whatever that may bring for all the Premiership clubs and the clubs in this side of the world involved in it. And we'll give you a full roundup next Monday night on the show as well, Joe. Brilliant to have you along again for another edition of SportsView. So until we meet again, Joe, next Monday night, and as we said, it's only half time in the match we're watching tonight at Chelsea 1, Spurs 1. So there you go. From Joe Waters and myself, till we meet again, take care, Joe, and good sporty for the week ahead.
Take care, Pat. Great being here.
Bye-bye now. Bye.
Bye.